What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm finally going to round out my teamwork spell list videos with the occult list. Now I normally only cover 11 spells for these videos, one for each spell level. However, the occult list is such a good teamwork spell list that I had a really hard time picking spells. So I'm going to cover 15 today. But let's dive into it. I want to start with the cantrip of this video, Guidance. I know a lot of you were expecting me to cover this one sooner. However, until this point, there were better teamwork cantrips out there. But since I've already covered those, it's time to talk about this one. For one action, you can give an ally a +1 status bonus to any one non-flat d20 roll they make that round. They choose which roll the bonus applies to before they make the roll. Even if they don't use the bonus from this spell, they are still temporarily immune to this spell for 1 hour. Honestly, this is a great one. I mean, this is literally just a +1 to any d20 roll that they want. Yes, it's only once per hour, but you know what? That's still pretty good. Plus, this spell is an excellent thing to do with your third action, if you can. And this spell only has verbal components, which means no attacks of opportunity. Next, I want to talk about a couple of spells that are the inverses of each other. I am, of course, talking about Bless and Bane. It was really hard for me to pick between these two, so I'm just going to cover both of them. Let's start with Bane. Bane starts off as a 5-foot emanation. Enemies in the area must make a will saving throw. On a failure, they take a -1 penalty to their attack rolls as long as they're in the area. Once per turn, starting the turn after you cast Bane, you can spend an action that has the Concentrate trait to increase the area by 5 feet. Doing this also forces any enemies that weren't affected yet to make another saving throw. And of course, Bane can counteract Bless. This spell is fantastic for long boss fights. -1 to attack rolls might not seem like much, especially at high levels. However, if you played this game, you know that a -1 to attack rolls can be the difference between a crit and a regular hit. And this affects every enemy in the area. Plus, even if they succeed on the initial will save, you get to force them to make another will save every time you increase the area. And that's one action on your turn. Great thing to do with your third action. But Bless is equally as powerful. Bless works identically to Bane with a few exceptions. The first difference is that Bless gives a +1 to allies' attack rolls if they're in the area. The second difference is that there's no saving throw. Just like Bane decreases the enemy's chance to crit, Bless increases the chances of your allies critting. It would be fantastic if you could get both of these spells up at the same time. You would have to spend 2 actions, one for each spell, to increase their areas. However, for some builds, that's actually might be okay. Not only is Paranoia an incredibly fun spell to use, it also has some great teamwork applications. You target one creature within 30 feet. That creature must make a will saving throw. On a successful saving throw, the target believes that everyone it sees is a potential threat. It becomes unfriendly to any creatures that it was not already previously hostile towards, even if they were previously their allies. It treats no one as an ally, and the spell ends after 1 round. On a failure, the effect lasts for 1 minute. On a critical failure, the effect lasts for 1 minute, but the target sees everyone as a mortal enemy. It uses its actions and reactions against everyone, regardless of whether they were previously allies. It otherwise acts as rationally as normal, and likely prefers to attack enemies that are attacking it, rather than those leaving it alone. But what makes this spell really good for teamwork is when you can combine it with the Deception skill, whether that's from you or another party member. For example, if the rogue is hidden and happens to be able to cast the Message spell, then he might be able to convince an enemy to start attacking his allies instead of the party, which of course will make it that much easier for the party to take down the encounter. That being said, this spell generally works best against dumb enemies or enemies that are already having paranoid thoughts. For example, you might find out that the cult members are about to revolt against the leader. If that's the case, cast a spell on one of them. They might start off as being allies of the leader, but the spell might get one of them to attack the leader. And if one of them attacks the leader and they're all revolting, they're all going to attack the leader. Oh, I almost forgot. Heightening this spell to 6th level allows you to target up to 5 creatures, which makes the spell even better and more fun. I talked about the slow spell in my primal teamwork spells video. So now it's time to talk about the opposite of that, which is haste. The spell targets one creature within 30 feet. For 1 minute, that creature gains the quicken condition, but can only use the extra action to stride or strike. So, fully move or attack, basically. Heightening this spell to 7th level will allow you to target up to 6 creatures. This spell and the slow spell together give you such a huge action economy advantage that it's hard not to cover this spell. Then, also for 3rd level, we have the Heroism spell. This spell is essentially guidance, except that the effect lasts for 10 minutes. Plus, casting this spell at 6th level increases the bonus to +2, and heightening it to 9th level increases it to +3. Guidance on steroids? Of course I'm going to cover this. Globe of Invulnerability is a great uncommon spell to use against spellcasters. The spell takes up a 10-foot burst centered on one corner of your space. The globe lasts for 10 minutes. Any spells that try to enter the globe from the outside are subject to a Dispel Magic spell that is 1 level lower than Globe of Invulnerability. But even if the counteract check succeeds, only the parts of the spell that would enter the globe are dispelled. For example, if someone were to cast a fireball spell at you, and you succeeded on your counteract check, then only the parts of the fireball that would enter the globe are dispelled. Anything or anyone that is outside the globe but still in the fireball's area are effective normally. However, this spell has enough of an area that you can easily get the rest of your party in there, assuming a standard party. You must form the globe in an unbroken area. When you form the globe, its edges cannot go through any creatures or objects. However, creatures can enter the globe once it has been formed. What makes this spell so great is that the globe only stops spells from outside it. You can still cast spells from inside it. This does, however, mean that something like a Magus or a spellcaster using a touch spell can enter the globe and use the spell there. However, if you have someone with attack of opportunity inside the globe, then touch spells will provoke that. Chroma Leech is a great teamwork spell to use on anyone, but works especially well against gnomes. This is a touch spell, so you are going to provoke attacks of opportunity for using this. It targets one creature and requires a Fortitude saving throw. Creatures with the gnome trait take a -2 penalty on this saving throw. On a critical success, the target is unaffected. On a successful saving throw, the target is enfeebled 2 for 1 round. On a failed saving throw, the target is enfeebled 2 for 1 minute and drained 1. Also, if the target tries to take a move action during the next round, it has to make a will saving throw against your spell DC. If it fails, then the action is lost. If the target critically fails their saving throw, then they are affected as if they had failed their saving throw, except that they are permanently enfeebled 2 and drained 2. Magic such as Restoration can reduce or remove these conditions. This is a fantastic spell to use against strength-based enemies. However, most of the time if they're a boss, they're probably going to at least succeed on their saving throw. But if they just succeed and not crit succeed, then they're enfeebled for a round, so that's pretty good. Strength-based mooks absolutely hate this spell though, especially if they happen to have the gnome trait. If you made it this far in the video, go ahead and hit that like button. And while you're down there, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can also check out my Facebook, my Twitter, and my new Reddit page. Links are in the description. But if you really want to support me, you can check out my Patreon. There you can get my videos early, and you can get some other pretty cool perks while you're at it. Link is also in the description. Anyway, back to the video. Cloak of Colors is an excellent spell to put on someone that doesn't have a lot of AC, like yourself or another spellcaster. This spell targets one creature within 30 feet. For 1 minute, any creature that is adjacent to that creature is dazzled. So basically, everything's concealed to them, which of course means 1 out of 4 chance for them to totally miss, which is pretty good. Also, any creature that hits the target with a melee attack must make a will saving throw. This part of the spell does have the incapacitation trait. So if you use this on a level 10 or higher creature, then they get 1 degree of success higher on their save. If they succeed on the save, nothing happens. However, if they fail on the save, they are blinded for 1 round. If they critically fail their save, then they're stunned for 1 round. Most of the time, this second effect really doesn't matter. What's important is the dazzled condition that they get for being adjacent to the target. This could allow the rogue to hide, and even better, it will discourage melee attackers from attacking weak spellcasters. Because as long as they're adjacent to the target, they have a 1 out of 4 chance to miss anyone they target. That's not to say that the second effect isn't good, but that incapacitation trait really kills it. By the time you can cast 5th level spells, you're going to be 9th level. That means that second effect isn't really going to work on bosses. But that first effect, the one that's important, will work. And that's why this spell is on this list. The best part about this spell is that nobody receives any saving throw against the first part of this spell. As long as they're adjacent to the target, they are dazzled, period. Dazzled is a lot better of a condition than people give it credit for. It's a 1/4 chance for them to miss every single one of their attacks. And that's not including multiple attack penalty. And remember, this lasts for as long as they are adjacent to the target. Yeah, good luck trying to hit 2nd and 3rd attacks while you're adjacent to the target of this spell. Now, of course, we've got to talk about Black Tentacles. If you don't know about this spell, you've either never played this game before, or you haven't gotten high enough level to cast it. But either way, I am going to go through it. This spell targets a 20-foot burst area adjacent to a flat surface within 120 feet. Black Tentacles rise up in the area. Make a spell attack roll against the Fortitude DC of every creature in the area. Any creature that you succeed against is grabbed by one of the tentacles and takes 3d6 bludgeoning damage. Also, anytime a creature ends its turn in the area, the tentacles try to grab it if they haven't already, and they deal 1d6 bludgeoning damage to any creature that they have already grabbed. The tentacles' escape DC is equal to your spell DC. Also, a creature can attack the tentacles in an attempt to escape. The tentacles' AC is equal to your spell DC, and it is destroyed if it takes 12 or more points of damage. However, even if a tentacle is destroyed, other tentacles continue to grow in the area until the spell ends. You can dismiss the spell. This spell is great if you have a lot of ranged attackers, or if you've got an ally that has a really high fortitude DC, like a barbarian. Remember, being grabbed means that they're flat-footed against everyone. I did a teamwork strategy video using this spell, so definitely go check that out up in the card if you haven't already. Even though it's only a 6th level spell, I have to say that Cast into Time is the best teamwork spell on this list. This spell has a 15-foot cone area, so you can definitely hit multiple creatures with this spell. Creatures hit by this spell must make a Fortitude saving throw. Creatures affected by this spell disappear until the end of your next turn. Also, while they are gone, they take 5d8 mental damage and 5d6 bludgeoning damage, depending on their fortitude save. On a critical success, the target is unaffected. On a successful saving throw, the target disappears, and on its return, it takes half damage. On a failed saving throw, when it returns, the target takes full damage and is sickened 1. If they critically fail their saving throw, then when they return, they take double damage and are sickened 2. And the best part about this spell, no incapacitation traits. This spell is a great way to get rid of an enemy for a while. Plus, if they at least fail their saving throw, they're coming back sickened. which Sickened is the best debuff in the entire game. Plus, this can hit more than one enemy. Great spell to use if you need a round to heal without enemies around. Or at least a specific enemy. Unfortunately, most of the time, you're not going to be able to hit more than one enemy with this spell at this level. But you definitely still could. This is also a great way to set up a certain strategy, because everyone gets at least one round before they come back. And they reappear in the exact same spot that they were in. I still can't believe I didn't know this spell existed until I did the research for this video. Also, heightening this spell by one spell level increases the bludgeoning damage by 2d6. Yeah, what makes this spell so broken is that it does damage on top of everything else. If you're an occult caster, you definitely want to pick this one up. Prismatic armor is chromatic armor on steroids. This is a touch spell that targets one willing creature and lasts for 1 minute. This spell functions as chromatic armor, except that it is all colors. So it grants resistance 5 to all elements except positive and negative. Plus, any attacker that fails the will save is blinded rather than dazzled. Heightening this spell to 9th level increases the resistance to 10. This is another great spell for when you really don't know what you're going to be facing. Or when you're facing an enemy that has multiple different elements, like, say, another spellcaster. Great spell, definitely consider it. The next spell on this list is Tempest of Shades. This is an incarnate spell, so it has an arrive effect and a depart effect. The spell lasts until the end of your next turn. The spell has a huge creature's area and has a speed of 60 feet. Upon arrival, all enemies in a 60-foot emanation must make a fortitude saving throw. On a critical success, a target is unaffected. On a success, they are drained 1. Failure on the save is drained 2, and a critical failure is drained 3. But that part of the spell is not the part we're interested in. Don't get me wrong, it's a great effect. However, we are more interested in the depart effect. When the shade departs, all your enemies within a 100-foot emanation must make a will saving throw. On a critical success, a target is unaffected. On a success, the target is frightened 1. Failure is frightened 3 for a target. And critical failure is frightened 3 and fleeing for a round or until it's no longer frightened, whichever comes first. The drain condition is okay. I mean, it does lower their HP and their max HP, so that's pretty good. But frightened is a much better condition for teamwork. If you didn't know, frightened is a penalty to everything equal to the number attached to frightened. So frightened 3 is -3 to everything. Frightened does go down every turn, which is why Sickened is better, but it's still a very good debuff and should be used. And this spell frightens multiple enemies. In fact, it's very hard not to get all of your enemies in this spell. It's a 100-foot emanation after all. I wanted to cover Canticle of Everlasting Grief in my Divine Spells video, but there was a better spell for them at this level. So I'm covering it now, because it is on the Occult list as well. This spell targets one creature within 120 feet and requires a will saving throw. Of course, on a critical success, the target is unaffected. On a regular success, however, the target is frightened 1 and takes 5d6 mental damage. Also, the target cannot benefit from status or circumstance bonuses of any kind for 1 round. On a failed saving throw, the target takes 10d6 mental damage, is frightened 3, and can't benefit from circumstance or status bonuses for 1 week. If the target critically fails its saving throw, it takes 20d6 mental damage, is frightened 4, and it can't benefit from circumstance or status bonuses until the curse is broken. Also, the target's allies cannot benefit from circumstance or status penalties as long as they are within 15 feet of it. Like I said in the last spell, frightened is a very good condition. However, what makes this spell so good is that they can't benefit from circumstance or status bonuses. For at least a round anyway. The enemy wizard wants to cast the shield cantrip. Sorry, no bonus for you. They can still shield block, but then they can't use shield for 10 minutes, so I normally cover a 10th level spell in these videos, however, there's only one good teamwork spell at level 10 for occult casters, and I've already covered it. So instead of wasting your guys' time by covering it again, I'm just going to end with a 9th level spell. Unfathomable Song. This spell can target up to 5 creatures within 120 feet and can be sustained for up to 1 minute. Each target must make a will saving throw when you cast the spell, and each time you sustain it. On a critical success, the target is unaffected and is immune for 1 minute. On a successful saving throw, the target is unaffected but can be affected on subsequent rounds. On a failed saving throw, roll 1d4. If you roll a 1, the target is frightened 2. If you roll a 2, the target is confused for 1 round. If you roll a 3, the target is stupefied 4 for 1 round. And if you roll a 4, the target is blinded for 1 round. If a target critically fails their saving throw, roll 1d4 plus 1 and add the following to the table. If you roll a 5, the target is stunned for 1 round and stupefied 1 for an unlimited duration. All the effects on that table are good. However, the ones you really want to roll are 1 and 5. You especially want to roll a 3 on spellcasters. 4 is also incredibly good against anyone. And 2 is especially good against big, strong enemies. Especially if you can put them in a situation where they can only attack their allies. Yes, these effects only last for 1 round with the exception of 5. However, they have to make a save against this every round you sustain the spell as well. This gives them more of a chance of getting multiple effects. However, this also means that they have more of a chance to critically succeed, which of course means you can't affect them anymore. There are a bunch of good teamwork spells at this level, but this is the best one that I haven't already covered. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more like it, you can check out these videos here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, teamwork is vital.